The Jeff Meacham Network's Multiverse of Media. For over 15 years, the recognized symbol of excellence and the standard bearer in coverage of sports and entertainment.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to Meach's Musings here on this Thursday, December 28th. It's crazy. It's already the last Thursday, 2023. And yes, Matthew, it is time for the final shilling. I feel like I'm in England or in or somewhere in somewhere in Europe where the shillings was an England thing, right? I don't know. But yes, as you saw, the show is for Len today. God, I can't believe it's been 8 years since Lemmy passed away. So here's to you, brother. We miss you every day, my friend. So yes, this will be a shill show, as we do here on Meach's Musings. And for those of you, by the way, for those of you watching over on the No DQ Twitter, we appreciate you guys tuning in to the No DQ broadcast. Coming up at the top of the next hour, we will have the final No DQ review of 2023. Let's see if I can. Nope. That's not what I wanted to do. That's what I wanted to do. As the boys will be talking about the rumored wrestling returns and debuts coming up in 2024. For now, though, we're here to talk about me. It's my show. Excuse me. So, as I did on Tuesday with reflecting on my life in wrestling, today's show is going to be a reflection of the personal side, the side that I don't get to, I don't purposely anyway display on social media very often, as far as the video presentation we do across the Jeff Meacham Network's multiverse of media. But I will say that the lives do definitely intertwine more than they ever used to. There's no disputing that anymore. And really, one of the vivid memories of that, that being a reality, is the fact that I got to go to see Guns N' Roses, the actual band, for the first time this year, back on November 1st, almost 2 months ago now. And it was strictly because of my friend Jenna and Paradise Kitty, the wonderful band that she is the front man, if you will, the vocalist for. Singing the classic tracks from the Appetite for Destruction album and some other Guns N' Roses hits over the last, almost 40 years those guys have been around. Isn't that crazy? 35, I think, for Appetite. I could be wrong, though. I gotta look at it. Maybe 35 for Use Your Illusion. I'll have to look. It's been a minute since I looked at those stats, but it's because of these girls right here that I really became a Guns N' Roses fan. I knew of Guns N' Roses, of course. How do you not know of Guns N' Roses, especially living here in LA/Hollywood and not know who the Guns are, right? It's kind of crazy. But my dad, God bless him, decided to take Dylan and myself and my brother and himself, my dad went with us, to see the Guns at the legendary Hollywood Bowl here in Hollywood, LA, whatever you want to call it. And it was such a cool experience. I had heard some bad press about the Guns in the last year. They were up in NorCal, and a friend of mine saw them at the Aftershock Festival up there and said they were just awful. And I went, oh man, I hope they're not, I hope they're not bad. I hope it won't be a big giant letdown. And luckily, it's all about the presentation, right? It's all about, and I'm looking over here and the camera's here. So I'm sorry if I'm looking over here and just like staring into space. I keep forgetting the camera's here today. So, because the phone's the wrong direction because it's plugged in charging, because it's a piece of shit. The entire presentation was so cool. Being in that element, being in the Hollywood Bowl, being, where those guys, really started at Hollywood, playing at the Whiskey all those years ago. And, me having worked at the Whiskey so many times and just hating life as a result. But, and the Viper Room and all the legendary spots on Sunset. But it was such an experience to see Guns N' Roses, even as they are in 2023, at the Hollywood Bowl. So I can't, again, thank my dear friend Jenna near possibly enough. Jenna's more of family than she is friend nowadays, and she has been for some time. Let me be clear on that. She is what I call family. Our mutual friend Catherine created that word, at least in my mind, when we went to Disneyland last year for her son's one of her son's recent visits, and called me family. And this year marked a lot of loss in wrestling, and also marked the anniversary of a loss for me. It was 10 years ago this last February that my grandmother passed away. To say that this woman was arguably the single most influential figure in my life, I think, other than my immediate family, as far as my father and my mother, would be a underselling her value. That's her and I on the left there shortly after I came home from the hospital. That's her and Dylan shortly after he came home from the hospital back in 2008. Just a true force of nature. And that there we are after we won. The Kings won their first Stanley Cup. This was in the fall of 2012, right before the season commenced the following season. Actually, we were at lockout at this point. The Kings weren't even getting ready to play because we had that stupid lockout that year. But that's my brother and I kissing the Stanley Cup, and my dad and my grandmother, his mother, posing with the cup. So just it was surreal to me knowing that it had been 10 years since she passed. I couldn't wrap my head around that. It was very, like I said, very surreal. Another loss this year for me that was profound in a completely different way occurred later in the year with the passing of Paul Rubens, Pee Wee Herman, who I grew up watching, grew up a major fan of. So I had the Playhouse set at home. I had the pull string Pee Wee doll. I had the doll actually that came with the playset that Paul has stuffed in his lapel pocket there. And being employed by Disney still at the time, I had the opportunity to go to the cantina, Oga's Cantina over in at the edge of the galaxy. I think it was either the next day or even later the same day I found out Paul had passed, and I immediately went to DJ Rex, formerly Captain Rex, and made it a point to toast to Paul and kind of making peace with it. I had met Paul twice now after the fact. First time I met him was at the anniversary screening of Elvira and Elvira Mistress of the Dark. Back in when was that screening? It had to be, I want to say it was 2008 because it would have been the 20th anniversary, and Dylan's mom was home with Dylan while I went to the movie because I'm that much of a schlub. But Elvira actually cut a promo on me, WrestleMania style, lamenting the fact that I had gone to the movie without her, and we literally ran into Paul at that screening, headlong almost. He was coming out of the John, I was going in, and literally, I think I spooked him so much he forgot he had to go tinkle and ran to the car and took off. I scared the man out of the theater. What can I say? So Marshall's question, I'm gonna go ahead and bring it up here. It says, "I'm curious if you know any actors, actresses who you were huge stars now that you grew up and went to high school with." Not huge stars, I guess. I didn't really grow up with them, or the person I'm thinking of. I found out in later years, if you were a fan of the show California Dreams, which was kind of like a I won't say a spinoff or an offshoot, but kind of a similar style as Saved by the Bell, but it was set primarily at the beach. Kelly Packard, who was on that show, went on to do Baywatch, went on to Ripley's Believe It or Not. She is a graduate of the same high school I am, a few years ahead of me. But I also found that she went to the same elementary school I did, which was even weirder to think about. So she had a kind of like an assembly appearance at the elementary school. God, when the hell was that? It was long enough ago where I still was. I want to say it was shortly after my 20th birthday because I still had the Kings sweatshirt I'm wearing in the picture with Sonny in 2003. So it had to be around 03, 04, maybe even 05. It was before I met Dylan's mom for sure. So before, sometime in early 05 or before. That's the one that comes to my mind the most, is Kelly Packard, because I met her so many times over the years. But she's definitely the most prominent in my mind. Okay, enough of the lost stuff. On to the happy stuff. Had a fun year, as we always do with the Kings. You know, good, bad, or indifferent with these boys. They are our team. They are the relationship with the Kings defines our family. It always has. I think it always will at the end of the day. Let's move over here. Thank you. I'm marking on. There we go. So the picture in the upper left here is actually from a more recent game, but there was a season ticket holders night at the Kings game, and they were celebrating all of the season ticket holders and the number of years they'd been season ticket holders, season ticket members. And, you know, my parents have had the account since 1977. It says 40 on there, which was my birth year. They had a little something extra to pay for in 83, so the account kind of skipped a beat. But yeah, 46 years we've been with this team as fans, you know, just going to everything, going to all the events. My buddy Carlin, who started out on the ice crew back in, goodness gracious, I want to probably not say the year because I might get in trouble later. But I've known her for 15 years. She's awesome. I love this girl. She's definitely grown into herself and grown into her role as the on-air personality with the Kings, and I just adore her. She's done a couple of not cameos because they're not the paid for stuff, but videos to congratulate us over the years on the anniversary shows. So very cool. Got to meet the Laker girls again, which is always cool. You know, I won't claim ever to be a big basketball fan, right? But the Laker girls are the Laker girls, man. I guess you're right. The Laker girls. There we go. Can't get tell my dad if I don't say it right. And they are some of the best cheerleaders in sports, and they are awesome, and they're a hell of a dance troupe. And then my buddy Demi, who you guys have seen on the show here a couple of times over the years. Let me go ahead. You can't, the lower left. Oh, there you go. You can't see the cursor. There she is. Returned to the Kings this year, so I got to reunite with my buddy Demi. And then over here, newer buddy Michaela, part of the ice crew this year. Met her at a watch party we had when the Kings were on the road playing the Edmonton Oilers in the playoffs last season, earlier this year. And she's become a pal. Love her to pieces. She's such a ball of energy at the games and at the events. So just again, always good to have interaction with the Kings. A lot of you know, of course, that I got to have the great fortune of being employed at Disneyland over the last almost year. I was with the company for a year, but I was only a cast member in 2023 until the beginning of October. And just a lot of really cool memories at the park this year, the resort, I should say, because I went to both parks with these people. But my sister Teresa, and just the blooper in the photo with Woody and Bo Peep, excuse me. Aaron coming up to California. It was his first trip to Disneyland, and I want to say it had been a decade or more since he had been to the park. So always cool to have Aaron come out for a visit. I love having that happen. My last time ever riding the classic Splash Mountain before they went to convert it into what is to be Tiana's Bayou Adventure at the end of the next year. It's funny. I had made peace with not riding Splash Mountain. I went on it in January of this year with other friends of mine who I also consider family. We'll get to them momentarily. I think I said if I didn't, I meant to, and if I didn't, it's because I didn't know if they would want pictures of themselves up. And I didn't want to be that guy. I made peace with not riding Splash Mountain. It's like, it's wet, and it's always such a long line. But my niece, who was celebrating her birthday, wanted to go. It's like, okay, we'll go. What the hell? So we went and stood in line. I was fine the whole way through the queue. It's like, all right, just whatever, you know. Natalie and Kyra, we're good, gonna go through it. And then I get up to the front and I see the log flume in the track, and all of a sudden it's like, oh shit, this is it. This is the last time I'm gonna do this. It was, I won't say traumatizing, but it was definitely one of those, oh geez, like this is it. I'm never gonna ride Splash Mountain as it is again. So it was a very much more emotional experience than I anticipated. But I got the pose off, brother. So there you go. Meach and must pose. Meeting Bob Gurr, who was there at the very beginning of Disneyland. One of the original Imagineers that Walt brought into the company to help design so many of the classic rides that are still there now. The Matterhorn, the monorail, the Autopia cars, just so many cool things. And getting him to sign the monorail poster for my dad, who the company my dad works for now, does constructed the windows on the current monorail, the Mark 7s, I think they are. So wonderful meeting Bob Gurr. Being able to bring Dylan's mother's family, including Dylan's mom, to Disneyland the week before the park's 68th anniversary, which is just crazy. The park's around 68 years. But that was really cool, getting to see everybody experience their first time at Galaxy's Edge. Star Wars fans across the board. They had so much fun. The little man, my Jade's youngest nephew, just had an amazing time. It's always cool to see Disneyland through the eyes of a child. And I think that's one of the more enduring memories for me, getting to experience that with the youngster and his siblings and his mom and Dylan's mom. It was so cool. And then I get to go on the park's anniversary itself, July 17th this year, with my buddy Travis and his extended family, for lack of a better term. You can see in the middle here. Let me see if I can get the cursor over here. Mickey kind of came up to the table and kind of caught me off guard and with the hugs, and just Mickey's my pal. What can I say? So that was cool. We had a big brunch. It was an expensive brunch, don't get me wrong. But it was a wonderful outing. Got to go back the next day, possibly a short time later, I forget when it was, with my friend Jess and her friend Ashley, who had come down to visit. It was just a great couple of days there at the park for the anniversary. Got to go to the park for our buddy Ariel's birthday at the end of August with Jenna, getting to see her first time back at the park in the many years, and then reuniting with my friends Britt and Tyler, who Britt used to work for the Vegas Golden Knights. It is what it is. By the way, the Kings are in Vegas tonight. Go Kings, go. But her and Tyler have just become so much a vital part of my family, the extended friends and family, that I cherish our friendship so very much. And I just value their perspective on life and the way that they see my life, right? If that makes any sense. They give me a lot of unique, cool perspective on things. And keeping in the Disney vein here, we'll go ahead and check out some more cool pictures. So the top left here is from the first trip I took to the park as a guest this year. I believe it was the first trip, maybe one of the few. With friends of mine I met through Travis at the club I talked about in Hollywood, down at Borders by the Bell, the heart of Hollywood. Grace and Lycan, again, two people who I just connected with instantly as friends, and it's always such a joy to see them in person when they do come out to the club on Wednesdays. I don't always get to see them, and it sucks. But when I do, it makes my freaking day. It really does. And then Miss Jenna, Jenna and I went to the park in January, just the two of us. Just a great friends visit. We actually went on the day the Disney 100 started. I think I have the thing over here somewhere. Yeah, there it is. Ugh. Oh, I'm gonna knock it over. That would be very loud and very messy because the drink is right here. Part of being part of the company this year, they sent us this wonderful. Let me get this a little shot back up here. Hang on a second. Oop. They sent us this really cool commemorative name tag. Couldn't wear it to work, but it was really. They sent us this, and they sent us a lithograph of the Once Upon a Studio short they did earlier this year. Actually, it was on the park's birthday, the company's anniversary in October. Galaxy's Edge is just such a cool friend. It's just such a really cool place. If you're a Star Wars fan, Jesus, I can't recommend it enough. Even with the cost of Disneyland nowadays, you gotta go. Anyway, so Jen and I went on the day they opened the anniversary, which was the end of January. We got to see Wondrous Journeys, the fireworks show, and oh god, it was we both cried. It was beautiful, amazing. And then I got, later in January, got to see the friends I talked about, Jessica and her significant other, Robbie, their friend Grass, and myself all went. It was the first time I think that Robbie had seen Galaxy's Edge. Definitely the first time Grass. I'm not sure about Jess. I'll have to ask her. I'm not sure if it was their first time in Galaxy's Edge or not. I don't honestly remember, so forgive me on that. And then right before my birthday, as I said, Aaron came down for a visit, and then our old buddy Brett Buchanan from the classic No DQ days, if you will, came over. We had lunch at this. Oh God, I can't remember the name of the tavern now. God, it's gonna bug me. I'm so bad because they were so nice to us and put up with our shit all day. JJ met us for lunch. Actually, I drove in with JJ. I think I drove in there. Take that back. I don't remember. It's been a long day. I'm tired as hell. But anyway, we got to have lunch together. It was really cool to have Aaron in for a day. So these bottom two are just kind of like more funny than anything else, I guess. Cinderella here on the left of the photo is, Cinderella is regularly over in the Princess, I guess, Royal Hall for photos or whatever. On the trip I took to commemorate Paul's passing, I had a lot of time to kill before after my shift was. I think it was after my shift was over. Just kind of wandered around and actually ran into her outside of the Royal Hall. I had seen her on my birthday celebration day, which I went the day after my birthday this year, and she remembered me and how sweet the interaction was. So she's like, "Just we'll do the picture with the big backdrop." Okay, so I did that. The other picture is my friend Shannon's boy, who she had him earlier this year, and that's his first picture with Santa. He looks more distressed than he actually is. I think he just had a gas bubble and was looking at the mom at the time. But that was the only Santa picture I got to do this year as far as in person. So hoping for more Santa next year. We're going to have the presentation upgraded for Santa Meach next year. Hopefully we get a little more on that front next year. At least I'm hoping. We shall see. Let's see. Let's get rid of that. We'll get to that in a second. So part of what I also, I'll go ahead and do this first real quick because these are my 4 favorite pictures I took at Disney. And I'm going to probably hurt some feelings. It is what it is. You can't help it. You can't make omelet without breaking some eggs, folks, but it is what it be. On that January visit I took with Jessica and Robbie and Grass, I was over here. This is the little corner market they have right inside California Adventure, with they have fruit and bags of chips, and they also sell the rechargeable fuel rods there. And I had to switch my fuel rod out to get a fresh charge, and I stood up and almost ran into this pink and white, presentation with the ears. Like, oh shit, it's Scout. I had met Scout in a fan chat type thing for the Halloween movie she did with Rob Zombie, and we bonded over Skyline Chili. So we knew of each other, but we hadn't met each other in person. It was just like, oh hi, and we just gave this big old hug, because it was the first time we actually met. And both friends circles, my friends and her friends were like, what the hell's going on? We just as I do, as she does, and it was just so sweet. And I was looking forward to seeing her at age 45. The convention for Halloween this year, and she was able to go. She ended up getting the gig approved by SAG, so I missed out on seeing her again this year. But hopefully next year on the channel we'll get the interview done. The picture on the right, as Matthew points out, is of the Mandalorian and Grogu. So I knew that the Mandalorian and his protectorate had been wandering around Galaxy's Edge, the Voxfire Outpost, for a while by this point. But the reason that my shorts look so dark is because that's fresh off that Splash Mountain ride that I took. We walked from Critter Country over to Galaxy's Edge with the intention of meeting up with my sister and the rest of the family to go do other stuff. And I had a change of clothes at the ready that my sister had in a carry bag. I was going to go into our backstage to do my change, if you will. And I see him standing there with a crowd. And I'm like, if I walk back there, I'm going to miss him. So I took the picture, and there it is. And I'm smiling so big because Grogu, it turns out, is audio animatronics. He actually does interact with the picture. He is looking toward the camera and giving that little smile that he does. So I thought that was super cool. And then there's these two pictures, which I just will cherish forever and a day. Different visits, same T-shirt, because laundry's a thing. The one on the left is, of course, Dylan and myself with the boss. On the set of Steamboat Willie, we went in, I think it was June, so right around Father's Day or so. Just he and I. First time he and I had gone together, just two of us, in forever. It was a great outing. He was very forgiving of me wanting to take pictures. He actually suggested we take a picture in front of the castle, which I don't think turned out as good as the one of me and Mickey and I, which is why I use this one. The one on the right is inside Walt Disney's Disneyland apartment. For those of you unaware of the history of the park, when Disneyland was being built, Walt had to be on property often. So he would have to be commuting from where he lived, which was more closer to the studios in Burbank, in lack of really hard set freeway traffic, because there was no freeways at that point. So it was all pretty much surface streets at that point. Coming out of the San Fernando Valley going into Anaheim was a trek. So rather than make that trek on his cars back then, it was just a matter of, just stay on property and sleep here. And that's inside Walt. And he ended up making a whole apartment for him and his wife Lillian and the kids that they would stay there from time to time too. And it was, I had gotten to go on Christmas Day last year, before my work shift, and it was just a what the hell moment. This one they offered us as cast as part of the 100 celebration. So you can't see it in the glare in the picture, but I'm wearing my Walt and Mickey button that I have here somewhere, and my Imagineering shirt that I got at Imagineering a couple months prior. So just a surreal day, a pair of days, having my son there with me, and then going to see Walt's apartment in Imagineering garb. Just like a really cool. I closed that one. Gosh darn it! I didn't mean to do that. Hang on a second, folks. I closed a window I didn't mean to close because I had one more memory thing to share, and then we'll get into the real reason for this show, and that's the shills by God. I'm a salesman. Anyway. But yeah, I can't stress enough how important, as much as the end kind of bummed me out, and the reasons I had to leave the park and the company were what they were. The year I had was so neat, and I people don't use the word neat anymore. It's not cool enough, right? But I thought it was super cool that I got to do that, and be part of that, even for a year, even abbreviated as it was. So I thought that was really cool. Sucker's getting fermented. I better drink it a little bit better, a little bit faster, however you want to phrase it. So the last photo, the group of photos, I should say, it's a collage that I want to show everybody, is from a pair of days that took. But come on, good grief! It was great, really great. Exactly, it was. Mick Foley would call it pretty good. But on September 30th and October 1st, I had the awesome experience of attending Halloween 45, the convention to honor, in my opinion, the greatest horror franchise of all time, the slasher for sure, and Halloween. And these pictures are just ridiculous, right? I mean, Malcolm McDowell, PJ Souls, Nancy Loomis, our buddy and fan film director Braden Timmons, Tyler Main. Oh, I can never say Rhiannon's last name, so forgive me, but she was there as well. She was from the 2018 movie. Malik Akkad, who has been the keeper of the keys, if you will, of the franchise. He's the one that's kept the spirit alive long after his father Mustafa died tragically. And then my buddy Danielle was there. Always good to see Danielle Harris. And the photographer caught me in a moment of just giggling myself stupid as I do. So I thought that was just really fun. So yeah, I had a really I bitched a lot about the way my year went, and I think that I unintentionally focused too much on the negative of this year. So I wanted to make sure I did this show knowing how much positive there was and knowing that 2024 is going to be so productive and hopefully profitable here on the Jeff Meach Network and the Multiverse of Media. And we are not done yet, my friends. I promise you that we are not even close to done with this crazy year, because coming up in just about 28 minutes or so, my friends over at NoDQ.com will be going live with the final NoDQ review of 2023. Again, as I talk about the rumored wrestling returns and debuts coming up in 2024, and then all focus, at least for a couple of days, shifts to the end of the world as we know it. But I feel fine. Simple Man Brand, Noah Foster, and the Casting Studios with JJ Williams will be they'll be simulcasting, co-streaming, Simply Predicting of World's End. That's tomorrow night at 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific, across both the Casa and the Simple Man Brand. I know NoDQ is doing their predictions, I believe, at 8 o'clock Eastern, 5 Pacific. I don't know 100% for sure, but check it out if you're able to. But definitely check out our show, because, I'm going to be on this one. I got quite a bit to say about these matches. I'll tell you that right now. And then, of course, we get to the big one. It's World's End. It's coming up from the Nassau Veterans Memorial Coliseum in Long Island, New York. Saturday night, 6 p.m. Eastern, with the our pre-show, if you will, because the 0 hour, of course, is at 7 o'clock. And we will go until there's no more show to go with, because that's what we do around here, folks. So that will be coming up on Saturday. And then, my goodness, I can't believe we're under a week away. I don't disagree with that necessarily, Matt. I mean, I know I'm still looking forward to Max's match, of course, with Joe. I'm more intrigued than that. I'm looking forward to the TNT title match. I've been looking forward to seeing Abaddon in the title match. I know people kind of like are hit or miss with Abaddon. I love Tony. I think she's hysterical, and I think her match with Riho is going to be interesting for more than one reason. The 8-man tag now intrigues me. I was kind of hoping to be a tag title match with Jericho, but of course Kenny's down with diverticulitis, so that's not going to be a thing. I'm intrigued by the whole show, and I'm looking forward to Noah and James calling it and producing it and having JJ along for the ride as well. So it'll be a fun night. I have a feeling it'll be a really big show. And then again, that's just the way I look at it, and I hope I'm right there. Before we get to the shill for Sunday, let me go ahead and shill next week, because my goodness, look at all this shit we got going on. Talk Wrestling next month, this coming Monday, the NoDQ.com Year End Award visual presentation, if you will. Coverage of Day 1 Raw, episode of Monday Night Raw. For the Love of Wrestling returns on Tuesday. Stat Boy Sports Bar returns on Tuesday. Our watch-along coverage of New Year's Evil. The Greg Cherry Show on Wednesday. Our watch-along coverage of Wrestle Kingdom. Meach's Musings back here in this time slot 1 week from tonight. Our watch-along coverage of SmackDown New Year's Revolution. Open mic night in its regular time slot of Saturday night, 8 o'clock Pacific. That's all beginning Monday, New Year's Day, New Year's Rockin' Week, across the Jeff Meach Network, Multiverse of Media, on all of our, or at least most of our platforms. But Sunday night, before we get to Monday, you got to have Sunday, right? And it is Sunday night, December 31st, New Year's Eve, 8 o'clock Pacific. My goodness. Open mic night, episode 100. The end of year 4, beginning of year 5 of the Jeff Meacham Network, Multiverse of Media. Our 2023 highlight reel being compiled by both James and JJ now. Awesome stuff. And our coast-to-coast countdown, all 4 time zones, lower 48 to 2024, with our special guests, surprises. Now, of course, during the Christmas Eve, the Eve of Christmas Eve Karaoke Spectacular, I gave you guys clue 1 about our guest, who is a former World Heavyweight Champion and a multiple-time award winner from the venerated Wrestling Observer newsletter during their 22 years in the business. Guest 2, which I gave a clue about on Talk Wrestling, has had 10 years with 5, no less than 5 professional sports franchises, including 3 based here in Los Angeles, on their resume. And they are a self-described connoisseur of all things food, a foodie, if you will. Today's clue. Clue number 3, by God, a 10-year veteran of the business, wrestling business, nearly 20 championship reigns to their credit, And a highlight bout of their career was against a world champion in multiple companies. That is clue 3 of our guest list. I will give what will likely be the final clue Saturday night during World's End, unless I happen to book the other person I'm trying to book in between now and then. But I do have one more booked, and I will be giving the clue about that person coming up during World's End, which our coverage again is at 7 o'clock. 6 o'clock. Excuse me, all the hell. 6 o'clock Eastern, 3 Pacific with our pre-show. And then, of course, the 0 hour starts at 7 o'clock. And we'll have the Hook versus Wheeler Yuta match and the Battle Royal to determine the TNT Championship Challenger. That's really going to do it for me here on Meach's Musings. Thank you guys who watched today. It is greatly appreciated. Always, always. Can't stress enough how important you guys at home are to the presentation. Thank you all for watching the solo shows I've done all year. Thank you guys for watching all of our crazy content across the multiverse. If, for whatever reason, you missed the plug at the beginning of the show, one more time, get those screenshots ready. Here's everything coming up on the watch-along front. So I didn't show earlier. Here's our watch-along, our open mic nights, both karaoke and game show specials, and our friends across the multiverse. And then we will bid you guys good night. We'll see you tomorrow for Simply Predicting, and this weekend for AW World's End and Open Mic Night episode 100. Have a good night, folks.